We're doing something different today. Hi, I'm Pramod Sharma, and normally I'm interviewing people for the Tea at Taxevity series. And today, one of our guests from the series has come back, and he wants to interview me. Let's meet Alan Kay. Alan, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be back.
Now, what are you doing back here? What are we doing today?
Well, apart from the fact I like being in your company, I'd like to practice an approach I use, and we call it the Better First Impressions interview.
Okay.
And we'll talk a little bit later on about how that works.
Okay, so you are in charge. Just proceed the way you'd like.
Good. Pramod, I'm very impressed by the kind of work you do. What pleases you most about the work you do?
What I really like is helping people, because people have issues that they need assistance with, and they don't always know where to go. In the financial sector in particular, it's pretty complicated because financial literacy is a challenge, and I focus on life and health insurance, which is even more complicated than investing and budgeting and some of the other things that people already need help with.
If I was interviewing some of your clients, what would they tell me pleases them about your work?
Well, it's hard for me to say exactly what they'd say, but I think they would say that they're very pleased with the experience, that I answered questions that they didn't know they had, and they felt that I cared for them as people and was trying to do the best that I could.
So insurance is, to most people, a kind of a bit of a mystery, if not a commodity. Hard to differentiate between the different offerings and address them in terms of their own needs. How would they tell me that you help them get beyond that? Their fears, for example, of the commodity likeness of insurance?
Well, insurance does look like a commodity for someone who isn't an expert in the field, because when you're an expert, then you see all the nuances that the general public doesn't see. So they would feel that I have helped clarify things for them. The fact is, the insurance product that gets used is almost irrelevant in the process. What really matters is asking questions of the clients, understanding their needs, and then thinking of solutions that could fit those needs, whether it's company A, B, or C.
And of course, every client's different. How do you manage that? Because their needs are so varied.
Well, they should be different, otherwise they'd just be penguins or clones. The solution is to ask them questions. So I have some relatively standard questions that I'll ask them that relate to what they're trying to achieve, what's worrying them, and get a sense of where they are right now. And the thing that I learned is that you don't have to solve every problem at one time. And there's something that's bothering them right now, so we need to fix that first, and then there could be other things that we fix later. That's
interesting. So their insurance needs could be an emergent process as opposed to a fixed point in time.
Because what happens in many cases when people think about insurance, they think about life insurance, which is arguably the least useful form of insurance because people are living longer and longer, and they're unlikely to have the insurance at the time of a claim because people generally cancel it. But that's what they think they're going to be talking about. And it turns out in many cases what they really need, depending on their age, is disability insurance or critical illness insurance or long-term care insurance. These are things they haven't thought about, and in some cases they haven't even been told about, in particular relating to long-term care insurance.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've done some work in the insurance industry, and you know, their main goal is productivity and profitability. So naturally, particularly given they've got the actuarial mindset, their customer experience capabilities aren't always of the highest. They're trying, they're getting better. You as an agent of these organizations, on behalf of your clients, how do you help your clients navigate all that kind of stuff? Because once they actually experience the insurance, it may not be entirely to their satisfaction.
What you're raising is quite astute because not everyone knows how the industry works. And you're right. In my case, I am an actuary and I have worked in companies, so I know how they operate. And I've also worked with advisors and I know how they behave. And that means that I can see where the gaps are. And for much of my career, I wasn't doing the pure calculation type work. I was doing more of the human work to make things easier for people to understand, whether it was advisors dealing with the public or the public themselves. And because of that, I've been able to communicate better with the public, because I've been blogging since 2007, for instance. And so it just comes from that mindset that you're trying to do the best you can for the public. And if you can't explain things in terminology they understand, you're not achieving those goals. And then you just work and get better.
Yeah, fantastic. So, successful business, what are you working on for the business that could get better?
Well, one thing that we've discovered recently is that people are not that concerned about life and health insurance. There's a much bigger issue in their minds, and it has to do with people living longer and longer and not knowing whether they have enough money to retire, or if they are retired, whether they'll have enough money to last. So we're currently testing out a new service called a retirement forecast to help people know if they have enough money.
And how would that be useful to the individual? They fill in the form, they send it to you. They get some insights from just filling in the form. How's that useful for you in terms of growing a business?
Well, first of all, they're not filling in the form. We developed a very nice form that people could fill in, and the idea was they'd send it in to us. But what's happening instead is that they're providing the inputs while we're here. They seem to prefer me asking them the questions and then them putting in the inputs. I was thinking they'd have more accurate answers if they just sat down and they figured out some of these things. Right. But they're quite comfortable providing estimates. And so that's how we're gathering the information. We've tried this over Skype and it works quite well. And we've tried it in person and it works quite well there too. So there's no, you could question, as you have, whether there's a direct connection with life and health insurance in this. And there isn't exactly, but we're in the business of helping people be better and have more peace of mind. And if we can help them deal with the issue of being prepared for retirement, then that also makes them more comfortable talking to us about insurance. Because sometimes people feel that they're on track for retirement or they're not, or they are on track, but if something bad happened, they wouldn't be. And that's where insurance could come in, say disability insurance or whatever.
So what gives you grounds for optimism that this is going to work really well for your clients?
We're doing a pilot right now, and we've invited a number of people to try out this new retirement forecast. And we've already managed to arrange 5 appointments for that, and we've already conducted several. In each of these situations, we're being told that, yes, what we're providing is extremely valuable. People just don't have a way to get this kind of information. And we're also explaining some of the actuarial things that people need to know about, but don't necessarily. For example, what is life expectancy? And whether population life expectancy is relevant for an individual. Whether where someone was born is more important than the life expectancy of Canadians in general. There are all sorts of issues that people don't know about.
Excellent. Thinking of those clients and the prospects, and of course thinking about the clients who might be coming back to you, some of them, let's say they've already retired, now they've got more questions. What advice do you give clients about them coming prepared to you so that they can give you a better briefing?
Well, I encourage people to think about what they're trying to achieve. For them to have a meeting that's either about retirement or insurance, there's something that's bothering them. There's some place that they want help. And I ask them to think a little bit more about what it is that's on their minds and what they're trying to achieve. If they don't, that's okay, but it helps the meetings go more effectively and more quickly if they're able to give some thought to some of these things.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much. This has been really enlightening for me personally.
Well, this has been a good experience for me too. I'm not normally on this side of the camera. Would you mind explaining what this process is that we just went through?
I think I'll just read to you from the document I use.
Sure.
I did steal this idea from somebody else, a guy called Rajesh Sethi, a venture capitalist in California, and layered in the model I use, Solution Focus. So I call it better first impressions interview. You want to be remembered, and it's really hard to be remembered because, of course, people are meeting all the time, etc. And that was what he was trying to do. So I say this is a tool to show that you're a great listener who's interested in the needs of your audience, so they'll listen to you. So it's a reciprocity thing. The issue is often when we're, particularly if we're trying to sell, we rush in with assumptions. If Andrew and I was trying to sell something to you, we rush in with assumptions without knowing what the person's really all about. And what this framework does is help you better understand so that you can then build a relationship with them where they listen to you because they've now trusted you on the basis of you asking them some better questions.
Yeah, I found the experience was quite valuable because you were asking questions and I felt that you cared about the answers. If you look at the retirement forecast, you could say that it's inspired by what you do with solutions focus, because when we first met a number of years ago, we had a Skype call and we went through a solution focused type of questionnaire, and you were asking me questions, and the business was relatively new at the time. And the questions that you asked were really valuable ones, things I hadn't necessarily thought about. And I thought, well, this is amazing. Alan is giving me all this valuable insight. I can see his process. It's not just Alan saying, I'm really amazing at such and such, me saying, I'm really amazing at such and such. You gave a demonstration of your abilities. And you've done the same thing here, which I hope will show the audience how what you're doing is very helpful.
Thank you. I think the last thing I would like to say is increasingly, and I've been doing it for a while in my book, Fry the Monkeys, Create a Solution, talk about this as a productivity tool. It's not just another neat idea that comes along and you try and sell it. It's a really powerful productivity tool inside organizations, because one of the things it does is stop people talking so much about the problems they encounter and start talking about the solutions. And what impressed me about your answers to the questions I gave you was, of course, it highlights some of the problems that people focus on or encounter, but you start thinking much more about the solutions for them because of the nature of the way we ask these questions.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons we connected, is that we both have that mindset of looking at the solution, the future, rather than, okay, things are messed up right now. It doesn't matter how we got here. What can we do to go forward and make things better?
Thank you.
Thank you also.
Thanks for joining us for Tea at Taxevity. The Taxevity Insurance Advisory helps you understand insurance and bridges gaps in your coverage. There's no premium for peace of mind. How healthy is your insurance?